It's Saturday morning. It's 9 o'clock. That can only mean one thing. Yes, it's time for the Monster Magic Saturday Show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woohoo! Good morning, everybody. Once again, it looks like it's going to be a corker of a weekend. Although actually, I think I said that last week and it turned out to be a bit of a damp squib. So fingers crossed I haven't cursed it for this weekend. But without further ado, let's get the weekend off to a banging start with some Monster Magic reviews. And first up, we have The Elephant by Patrick Redford. I wasn't sure what to think about this. It is basically a vanishing device that you can use to vanish any small objects from perhaps behind some playing cards, or you can make them vanish and reappear somewhere else. You can also make them change and do transformations as well. It really is something for your imagination to run wild with. I was skeptical, having seen the video about the angles and about how practical this little thing is, but actually the more I've fiddled with it, the more fun I've had. I can't really show you what you get, but it fits neatly into this little envelope, and it is basically a little device that you hold out in your hand that enables you to vanish things. It's not original to Patrick Redford, in fact. So as Patrick Redford points out, it actually comes from an idea by Fred Capps back in the 40s, 50s sort of era. And actually the idea of vanishing a small ball or a small object from behind a playing card was very popular back then. Milk Court had some ideas with it, which is in his book Court, but also so did Wary of Germany used to produce something that was sort of vaguely similar to this, I believe. Jack Griggs had an idea for vanishing a pig, a little small pig, obviously, not an elephant. And Sidney Bergson, who was more of a mentalist, actually did something on this as well, all with various different methods. So the plot's very popular. I think this method seems to have sort of originated with Fred Capps as such, certainly the design of this little gimmick. And Patrick has sort of revised this gimmick quite a lot. It's quite a nice little bit on the tutorial where he shows the history of how it's all changed, and the shape of it and the positioning of it and how it all works and everything. It is 3D printed, and it's not, I wouldn't say it's delicate in any real way, but you are going to want to look after it because just by the nature of its shape, you're going to need a little bit of care. But the actual operation of it and how it works is really simple, and you'll be picking it up and flying with it in no time. It's more a matter of timing and just comfortable having something held out for that long. Is really what you got to work on. But the actual vanishing method is really slick, really easy to do, and a lot of fun to do as well. You feel quite cheeky doing it. It is intended to be used with things that are ferrous, shall we say. I don't want to give away, it's very hard not to give away too much, or even I'm desperate to show it to you. It is a nice little simple thing, but so you will need, in England you've got your 2p's, anything that has been chopped, so your chop cut balls will be fine, for example, but it does come with a little something if you want to chop some other objects that aren't naturally chopped. In fact, it doesn't go into too much detail about how to do that, but these sort of things are included should you want to, which is a really nice touch and not really necessary. They don't include any of the objects to vanish because, as Patrick says, they don't know what you're going to want to vanish, and the chances are you've probably got something at home to do it with anyway. And also I think if you wander around the house trying to find different objects, you can get really quite creative. This is really what's great about this gimmick. Patrick's tutorial is over an hour long, and there's a lot of diversity in the effects that are shown. Obviously you've got the first trick with the vanishing elephant from the card castle, which is beautiful to watch. You've then got a 2-card coin matrix, which is really slick. One of my favorite things is the Carol Fox idea, where you use a ball or another object to balance a playing card to make it stand up. You then lift up the playing card to show that the object that was making it stand up has completely vanished. It's quite a nice combination of ideas of how the card was balancing and where the object that was helping it balance has gone. I really like that. And then you go on to some sort of shot glass penetrations and some chop cup ideas. You've got like a chopless shop cup, chopless shop cup, which is very interesting and just lets you know just all of the sort of various ways you can go with this gimmick. And the idea is that you can not only steal, but you can also release from this gimmick. And I have to submit, I found the releasing of things a little bit difficult. So there is a section where he teaches how to sort of switch objects and so on. And I've found that unloading slightly awkward. So I think it's probably the surface I'm doing it on is the problem there. So what this is essentially is something that you're probably going to be using in a sort of a formal setting, a parlor setting. Angle wise, especially with the elephant vanish and things, Patrick covers all of the angles really well, and you are pretty much covered as long as no one's sort of standing over it. So you're going to be seated at a table and you want everyone else seated around you, so you know they can't see behind the cards, as it were. For things like the shot glass penetration and so on, you're going to be wary of your angles as well. So it's more for a parlour, I would say, than walk around. I know in the trailer that Patrick does sort of show a sort of retention vanish from his hands, which is possible, but you're probably going to be better off just doing a little bit of sleight of hand for that. And he does teach at the end a sort of Raven style vanish of a coin, which is quite nice, but it's not quite as clean as the Raven. Patrick does also demonstrate that it can be done with non-ferrous objects if need be. I've tried that. It seemed a lot more awkward. What is great about this is the speed at which you can operate it from. You can literally just snatch things out of you very quickly. And that is a lot of fun to do. And as Patrick demonstrates very, very well, it just means that you can have something appear and reappear very quickly and very cleanly. You will have a lot of fun messing about with this, I'm sure. All of Patrick's demonstrations are seated at a table for a very good reason, because he goes south with the gimmick to end perfectly clean. But there is definitely a way of cleaning up this from a standing position as well. I've really enjoyed playing with it. I'm not sure I'm going to use it that much, just because it does need that sort of parlor show setting. Social media, of course, it would be dynamite on social media. You've only got to watch the trailer to see just how clean everything is. It is brilliant for that, for sure. I have got a close-up competition coming up at my local club, and I might well use the elephant for that. That is The Elephant by Patrick Redford. It's only $22.99. Next up, we've got Book to the Future by Steve Gore. This is basically another book test. Who knew we needed more book tests in the world of magic? You introduce this tourist-style guide to Las Vegas to your participants, and then you explain that they're going to find 3 different words on a page in various different ways. You write down some predictions, and then they select a page at random using a postcard. You open up at that page, they say the 3 words that they are thinking of from that page, and you reveal that those are the same 3 words that you have predicted are written down earlier. And what makes this different is that, unlike other book tests, you write it down as a prediction. I'm not saying you can't do that with other book tests, but most of them you would have to have multiple outs and so on in order to achieve that. With this, it's not. You know exactly what words they're going to pick in advance from a freely selected page using the postcard. Of course, you don't have to do it with 3 predictions. You could do it with just 1, but there are multiple ways in which they can select the word, unlike other book tests. So it could be the first word on the page. It could be a certain number of lines down and words across. It could just be an interesting word, a long interesting word. It could just be a destination or a location. So you've got options there. It's also repeatable once at least. So there are two different outcomes, as it were, to choose from as well. So that's really good if you're going to immediately do it again. The other thing to notice is that there is absolutely no fishing whatsoever. You have written down the predictions well in advance. You're not asking for a first letter or anything else like that. So you do genuinely know what word they are thinking of, even before they've selected the page. Probably the big drawback from the other book tests out there at the moment is that this cannot be examined. You cannot hand this to your participant for them to go through and flick through the pages as such, but you can show it to them. So you can cleanly show that's the Las Vegas. They've got some maps and some pictures and some words and so on. So you can show it to them, and you can skip down and you can show that it's got 202 pages and so on. So you can do a fairly clean display of the book as it is. You do need to use a postcard or something similar for the force. Postcard itself isn't gimmicked, so if you don't want to use this postcard and want to use something else, you can, but you just need to have something inserted into the book when you have the page chosen. I actually really like the method. I think it's definitely original to Steve as far as I can tell. It's very clever. It is very smart. The problem I've got with it, although the book's a nice size, I do think it's great. So especially if you're going to carry it around, and a tourist book obviously probably is best if it is this size. So for walk around magic, it is a great size. I just wish the font was a bit bigger. For me, the font's a little small. I do need glasses now. Perhaps I'm just getting old. The font's a bit small, and I would suggest that this would be printed more in a glossy format if it was really a tourist book. This doesn't really pop. These maps are far too small to be of any use whatsoever. Perhaps it'd be better if it was just a whole page was a map, just to make it look slightly more authentic. Other than that, I think people will buy into it. I think I'm just being a bit fussy. Other than that, it's a really great product, and it is so easy to do. There's a small bit of memory work, but Steve gives you a couple of sentences to help you remember that, and it won't take you very long at all. Believe me, it is not challenging in any way. And you can have a lot of fun with it. So Steve's presentation, he, whilst he's writing his predictions, he asks them some nonsense questions, like what's your favourite pizza topping and so on, as if that is in some way going to lead him to what choices you're going to make. And that adds quite a lot of fun to the routine. The postcard itself is also part of a second routine that Steve teaches using cards, and this holds some various predictions on it for the outcome of that routine. That routine is really good, but if you're going to, for me, it just went on a little bit too long to get all of the reveals in. Might just do one or two phases of that card trick, but it's a nice little bonus that comes along with it. It is really refreshing to come across a book test that has an original method and has a lot of advantages over Tim's classic mother of all book tests. A lot of people don't like all of that fishing. I do like being able to predict it. So of course you don't have to have it written down. You can have perhaps a photograph of you in the location that you think they're going to choose, or a video reveal on your phone, anything like that, because you do know in advance what they're going to be choosing. I do like it. The book is convincing enough, even if it's not quite examinable. It's a good size to be carrying around. It's really easy to do, and perhaps you could make something out of the hook of a Las Vegas holiday. That is Book to the Future by Steve Gore, $39.99. And now, before I forget, it's time for the competition winner from My Jeans, which was a couple of weeks ago. You might have seen the review of My Jeans, so I'm not sure calling you a winner is the right idea. But all of the names are in the hat. More entries than I thought. Some of you, I think, just wanted to tell me what your favourite hole was, and thanks for that. So here we go. Best of luck. I really hope you don't win. Got two stuck together. Here we go. Well, like this one. Here we are. And the winner is Tom Winder 4402. Tom, please, if you do want to claim your prize, just get in touch. info@monstermagic.co.uk with your address, and I will send you my jeans. Next up, we have got Instant Paper to Money by Miguel Pizaro. Now this, I was shown this actually by Lauren James at the Magic Circle, and it blew me away. It is basically, you've got some magazine clippings, you show them on both sides, and then with a very quick wave, it all just turns into money. You might be familiar with this plot. Extreme Burn by Richard Sanders is the most common one at the moment. Came out in around 2007, I think. But the original idea was Easy Money by Patrick Page in 1970. Fred Capps then had Flash Cash a few years later in 1973, which is a slightly different gimmick that I think Patrick actually admitted was a little bit better than his. And then it all sort of got revitalized later with the Hundi 500 by Gregory Wilson, which was very much, again, a copy of Easy Money in my book. That was around 2003. There was then the Heine 500 that came out by Carl Hein, which was a slight improvement, and so on, and so on. Many versions until we get to Extreme Burn, Locked and Loaded. This is entirely different gimmick from all of those. And I really like it. It has got a different feel to it. You don't have the flick. All of those have this sort of visual moment where you're sort of flicking it to change it. This looks far more instant and natural, as if you've done absolutely nothing. I think visually, I think it is the best I've seen. And it does look really clean. You do shoulder notes either side. It's got no disadvantages either. And the big bonus is you don't have to worry about any of the construction that you have with Extreme Burn. You don't really have to ruin any banknotes whatsoever. Although, having said that, that is only applicable if you've got dollars or euros. So unfortunately, it only comes in dollars and euros at the moment. Let me show you the gimmicks. But actually, I can't show you the gimmicks as such, can I? But here we go. Maybe I can. Here we go. So this is what you receive are these pieces of paper, like so, and in here is the gimmick. So it's just newspaper cuttings essentially, and these have been printed specially by the feel of it, and they match. In this case. In which case, these match 20 euro bills, which is slightly wrong size for the £20 notes, unfortunately. The dollar version is much thinner and a much different size to euros. So what you will have to do is to make your own gimmicks if you're going to use this in the UK. They did used to make a UK version, so if you're at Blackpool, possibly you might have got a UK version of this. They stopped doing that now, and I think that is because as part of this set, you get a hooky banknote, and I think the UK banknotes are quite hard to get hold of. So what you need to do is to make your own gimmick. It's very easy to make, really. You just need, I'd use a guillotine to cut the right size for the banknotes, and then take the gimmick apart that you've got in here and build your own. There aren't instructions to do that, but I think once you see how it is made, you'll get a good idea, and it shouldn't take you long. But that does mean you'll probably have to sacrifice a couple of notes. Not that they're irreparably damaged in any way, but you will have to use them to make the gimmick. One alternative to doing that, which he actually mentions on the tutorial, is to have a mixture of different currencies if you like. So you could simply have a couple of 20 euros and then have some £10 and £20 notes mixed in with that. It would all still look like you've just changed it into a big wad of cash. But it's so easy to do. It's so easy to put together, and there's no reset. So, well, there is a reset, but you can actually reset it as you like. So you can have it start as these newspaper clippings, change it into banknotes, and then change it back from banknotes back into newspaper clippings. So it's a nice, complete circle of routine, and then stick it away. And this is clean. So the gimmick is actually in here, and you are, I mean, it's lovely, really, really nice. Several different handlings are taught, but really there's nothing to it. For me, this is now the best paper to money there is. It is, I'm absolutely gutted that you can't get it ready-made for the UK bills. Why we didn't join the single currency, I don't know. It would make things life so much easier for us magicians. And if you are going to go down the route of making your own gimmick, then these don't have to be newspaper cuttings. In fact, these aren't newspaper clippings, really, are they? Because that's not really a newspaper clipping. It's just a picture, and so on. So you can use anything you like, anything that might give it a nice little hook or be appropriate for whatever event you're at. If you're in Europe or the US, you have finally got a brilliant paper to money that doesn't require you doing any arts and crafts. Sadly, in the UK, you've got something that does require a little bit of arts and crafts, but not much, and it is well worth it. It's super clean, it's super visual, it's super easy to do. It is Instant Paper to Money by Miguel Pizaro, $42.99. Next up, we've got Serial Killer by John Bannon, another packet trick by the master of packet tricks. I'd love for him and Nick Tross and Paul Gordon to have a showdown. Wouldn't that be great? Yes, another packet trick. This one is quite surreal. What happens is you have a small packet of cards that are blank on both sides. You then magically reveal that one of them has "This is not a hole" printed on it with a big red dot in the middle. You put that one away. You then reveal that another card has actually just got a hole in the middle, another one has just got a real hole in the middle, and a third one just has a real hole in the middle. You then turn those over to reveal that they all actually say that this is a hole on each side, and then you then reveal that the one whole card that is whole, you turn that round and that has "hole" written on it. Visually, this trick is really startling. It doesn't come across quite so in the trailer, but in real life, and let me show you what you get. I can show you the cards because you can see them in the trailer. So you've got a hole. These are the cards with a hole. You can see the colours, they do really pop, and the appearance of the hole is very astonishing once you've done your nice little clean displays. The displays and the count is basically John Bannon's Bullet Party count. If you haven't got his Bullet Party book or DVD, then I would highly suggest it for some great, easy to do, strong card magic. This is strong magic. It is easy to do. So apart from the bullet count, really, you haven't really got anything else much to do. It's virtually self-working from then on. The work that you have to do really is, or the problem I've got with this, so the fact that holes appear in cards that you've shown as being solid cards, and the fact that you've got writing they've printed on one side and you've shown that they've been blank is amazing. That is strong magic. But this, the plot feels very muddled. The rationale, the motivation, it seems like it doesn't really make sense. You've got no real reason for any of this happening. So that is the struggle for me here. One possible thing is the route that John goes down, which I do like. So it starts off with John saying that he walks into a bar and Salvador Dali's in there, and he goes over to him and goes, "Hey John, let me show you a trick that Pablo Picasso showed me earlier that he got from Rene Magritte." And that justifies that this is not a whole card in a nice way, obviously referencing Rene Magritte's Treachery of Images picture of the pipe. So that's really nice. And then that story just sort of peters out, and it gets lost, and then the holes come over, and it's a bit like, well, this is a black hole, this is a donut hole, and this is another hole, and then this is a hole, and that's a bit of a shame, because with this method what you have done is you have changed 7 of the sides of 4 cards. So out of the 8 sides, 7 of them have changed, which is remarkable, and is what the power of this trick. But you just need something to hang it together for it to make sense, and that is what's missing. It's out there somewhere. I do like the Rene Magritte line. I do like the old sort of surrealist artists. Perhaps if the holes were different shapes, perhaps if this said something other than this as a whole, perhaps it referenced, this could be Picasso's blue period. This could, perhaps they could be Matisse when he was doing his cutouts. These are the bits left over. I don't know. There must be some way of going with this. But otherwise, visually, it is a terrific little packet trick. You just need to come up with the plot and whatever you hang it on to give the journey some sort of sense and logic. The cards are really nicely printed, and like I say, the colours are really bright and eye-popping, which adds to the visuals of this trick. And the circles are very circle and very accurate. I'm going to get my scripting hat on, because I think it's definitely something here that is close to brilliant. It's just falling short for me at the moment. That is Surreal Killer by John Bannon, 21.99. And finally, we've got The Bet by Christian Grace. This came out a few years ago. It is Christian's favourite opener. If you are part of Christian's monthly magic, this is one of the most popular tricks on it. The effect starts with you introducing the idea of being able to track the location of a single playing card within a deck of cards as the cards are mixed. You have a card selected and then lost in the deck through a series of cuts. You then fan through the deck and you pull out 4 cards, going, it's definitely one of these 4. You show them to your participant and they are the 4 indifferent cards. His card isn't actually there. You lay them down on the table, you remove 3 of them, again showing them as indifferent cards, and put them to one side, and you bet your participant that the card on the table is their card. They then tell you what their card is. You look a little bit perplexed, but you point to the previous indifferent cards, and they have now changed to the mates of their selected card. They turn over the card that's on the table, and it is their selected card. It is a powerhouse of an effect. You can see why this is Christian's opener. It does take a bit of a setup, which is why it is an opener, but it's not a full deck setup by any means. I'll show you what you get in here. So you get in here a set of Phoenix playing cards. This is an ordinary deck of Phoenix playing cards, and you get the gimmicks, and because these are Phoenix decks, that is why they've got a red back. So that's why you get the deck with it, just in case you don't have red Phoenix cards. So in here are a few gimmicks, and this is what you put into the deck. Yeah, they can sort of ride along in the deck if you want, but your best bet is to have a slightly short deck to start off with, and then just add these in if you want, or just use this as an opener, as Christian does. And then the trick is really pretty much self-working. Christian's thought a lot about these gimmicks, and they do so much, from being able to locate their card, have their card in one of those four, even though you've shown that it's not there, have the indifferent cards that you've removed change into the mates of their cards. They do a lot. I mean, and without any slides as well. It's just incredible that this is a self-working effect, pretty much. Christian, of course, teaches it really well. It includes all of the nuances, all of the subtleties, anything that might occur. He has the solution for it. But really, there's nothing to go wrong. There's just a sort of, perhaps the orientation of the pack might be one way or another way, and how to tell and what to do if that's the situation. But there is a phenomenal amount of magic for very little work. The hook of the bet is great. The hook of a casino, the hook of you having this skill, is all really good fun, and will pull your audience in. You do have the option of just using this deck of cards to start off with. You can have it handled, you can do any tricks that you like. It will be a few cards short, that is the only thing you've got to worry about, and then just adding in the gimmicks at an opportune moment. There are lots of ways of adding these gimmicks. You could copy them in from your pockets, or you could just have them left in the card box, put the cards away, and then pull them out again later. So it's not like you've got to position them anywhere in the deck. So it's super practical from that point of view. Christian says it's his opener, and it is a really strong opener. I think it's probably would be my closer. You can't have these examined, so these gimmicks at the end, when you've got the matching mates on the table, they can't be examined. You just have to scoop them up and put them away. But there's very little heat on these, to be honest. Everything is on that card, the money card, as it were. All the aspects of this trick are just really smart, clever, and well done. The gimmicks that do all the work for you, there's really very little setup involved, and they are just super simple and easy to load on or just have on the deck. The plot is a great hook. The presentation, it virtually scripts itself. And the strength of the magic when the indifferent cards turn into the mates of the cards, and when that card that they've seen is supposedly the King of Diamonds turns into the Eight of Diamonds, is just so strong. It's a really good trick. Like I say, personally, I think it's probably going to be a closer for me rather than an opener. And that is The Bet by Christian Grace, $29.99.
I think I ought to see a doctor. Oh, why do you say that? I'm beginning to like the show.
And that's it for the show for this week, I'm afraid. It is a bank holiday weekend, so please, come on. Put down the paintbrushes, put down the garden trowels, grab up some magic, and go out and have a lot of fun with the best hobby in the world. Goodbye.